I gotta be completely honest. I was taken aback when I found out that Tim Burton didn't fully create Beetlejuice. I'm not sure why, but for whatever reason, I thought he created this IP from scratch. As it turns out, the real creators were these fellas, Michael McDowell and Larry Wilson. In the 1980s, author Michael McDowell was inspired by Ghostbusters and Poltergeist to make the switch from novels to screenplays. In a reversal of the genre, he came up with the idea of making the ghosts the good ones and the humans the bad ones. The gothic aesthetic of the world came naturally to him, as he had written horror and gothic pieces which had garnered praise by horror legend Stephen King. With his writing partner Larry Wilson, both men unknowingly began to write a classic. One of Wilson's biggest contributions was the character of Lydia. In an interview with Film Courage, he recalls seeing The Cure play live at the Rose Bowl, where he noticed the fans dressed in black. These early drafts of the script were much darker, being written as a straight horror movie with the titular character of Beetlejuice wanting to murder the family and, sleep with Lydia without her consent. Screenplay co-author Warren Scorin helped shape the film into what we know of it today. He was responsible for shifting the tone and grounding the Beetlejuice character into more of a pervert than a murderer. As you can imagine, the men had a tough time selling the script due to how bizarre it was. McDowell, Wilson, and Burton all collaborated on a TV episode titled The Jar on a TV show called Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and soon a friendship grew out of it. Wilson was unable to recall how Tim Burton got a hold of the Beetlejuice script. He remembers Burton being interested in directing the film, however, he was tied to another project at the time. Once Burton was freed from the project years later, he immediately signed on. Originally, he envisioned Sammy Davis Jr. as Beetlejuice, but after being approached and giving it considerable thought, Michael Keaton ultimately took on the role. He initially struggled to understand the role, but Burton was there to break down the character for him. He took on the challenge of doing the costume design himself, putting together various pieces of wardrobe, and once he was satisfied with the look, he showed up on set. Minor alterations were made, but he had nailed the look that the script asked for. The movie was released on March 30th, 1988. Due to the difficulty it was to sell the IP, the movie was given a generous budget of $15 million. Yet against all odds, the film proved to be a financial success. In its opening weekend, it brought in $8 million, coming in number 1 in the box office, ahead of Biloxi Blues and Bright Lights Big City. Domestically, it finished with $73 million, and in the international markets, it managed to barely scrape a measly $3,000. Therefore, the worldwide total is $73 million and some change. Ever since then, re-releases have netted it an extra $1 million in the box office numbers. The movie itself has a runtime of 92 minutes, and it is surprisingly rated PG. Well, I guess the 80s were very lenient in their ratings, because it is shocking at how Beetlejuice got a PG rating and not a PG-13 at the very least. In genre, it falls under comedy and fantasy. Critically, it was well received. IMDb has the film at 7.5 out of 10, on Metacritic it's at 71, and on Letterboxd it's currently at 3.8 out of 5. On Rotten Tomatoes, the critics and audience members are almost in agreement. The critics' score is sitting at 86% and the audience is at 82%. Siskel and Ebert did not like the film. Listen to this.
Here's a case where a movie just tries too hard for its own good, overwhelming us with special effects to the point it becomes almost obnoxious.
Frankly, I walked into this movie knowing nothing about it. I agreed with you. I was sitting looking at the set decorations and saying, gee, that's terrific, the special effects. Boy, they're well done, but so what? Because there's no comic energy behind it, and Beetlejuice is absolutely... you use the word obnoxious.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's not funny. It's just, there's that guy again. Let's get rid of him. 2 more thumbs down for Beetlejuice, the ambitious but obnoxious Ghostbusters clone starring Michael Keaton.
Regardless of these opinions, the film got nominated for Best Makeup at the 61st Academy Awards in 1989, and it won.
I'd like to thank the members of the Academy, our producer Richard Hashimoto, our director Tim Burton, Michael Keaton for bringing that wild and wacky character Beetlejuice to life.
It was successful enough to spawn a toy line as well as a cartoon that ran for 4 seasons. There were talks for a potential movie sequel in which the Dietz family go to Hawaii along with Beetlejuice himself, but nothing was ever made. A legacy sequel did end up materializing with Keaton reprising his role, and is set to be released this year in 2024.
I'm gonna make you so happy.
Michael Keaton was born on September 5th, 1951 in Pennsylvania. Keaton plays the titular character who is the bio-exorcist whose job is to scare away the living. Prior to Beetlejuice, he was in Touch and Go in 1986, followed up by The Squeeze in 87. A number of months after Beetlejuice was released, he starred in Clean and Sober. 1989 was also a huge year for Keaton. The Dream Team was released in April, and in June, The Batman hit theaters, launching Keaton from stardom to legendary status. Alec Baldwin was born on April 3rd, 1958 in New York. In Beetlejuice, Baldwin takes on the role of Adam, a ghost who enlists the help of Beetlejuice to scare away the newest homeowners. In 1986, Alec Baldwin was seen in Forever Lulu. Afterwards, he had a huge year in 1988, starting with She's Having a Baby, released in February, Beetlejuice in March, followed by Married to the Mob in August, and both Working Girl and Talk Radio being released on the same day on December 21st. Gina Davis was born on January 21st, 1956 in Massachusetts. Gina plays the role of Adam's wife, Barbara, who also haunts her old house in order to get rid of the new occupants. Prior to Beetlejuice, she was in Transylvania 6 to 5000 in 1985, followed by a sci-fi classic, The Fly in 1986. After the release of Beetlejuice, she had a role in Earth Girls Are Easy in 1988, followed by The Accidental Tourists, also released in 88. Tim Burton was born on August 25th, 1958 in Burbank, California. Tim Burton was working as an animator, storyboard artist, and concept artist at Disney before directing his debut feature film, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, in 1985. He began hitting his stride with Beetlejuice in 88, The Batman in 89, and Edward Scissorhands in 90. Rounding up the cast, we also have Winona Ryder, Jeffrey Jones, Catherine O'Hara, and Glenn Shaddix. We open the movie with our main couple being cutesy in their grand home while being pestered to sell the house. Not long after, we take a drive into town where on the return trip, their car swerves off a bridge to avoid hitting a dog and crashes into a river. The Maitlands, Adam and Barbara, return home only to be confused about certain things such as the absence of the reflections and an unknown appearance of a handbook titled Handbook for the Recently Deceased. They soon realized they had died in the car accident. A few months later, the Dietz family move into the Maitlands' house. Delia plans to remodel the house immediately. The Maitlands, desperate to reclaim their home, attempt to scare the Dietzes away to no avail. Lydia, however, can see the Maitlands and strikes up a friendship with them. Determined to get rid of the Dietzes, the Maitlands enter the afterlife through a door in their house and find themselves in an office for the dead.
Oh no, thank you.
Trying to cut down myself.
There, they learn about Beetlejuice, a freelance bio-exorcist who specializes in scaring away the living. The Maitlands summon Beetlejuice, but when he appears, his behavior quickly makes them uncomfortable. They decide against using his help for the moment. The Dietzes host a dinner party with guests, and our duo possess the guests, making them dance to Deo by Harry Belafonte. Instead of being scared, the guests are intrigued and start planning on exploring the hauntings. Frustrated, the Maitlands call on Beetlejuice again. This time he unleashes chaos at the dinner party by transforming into a monstrous form. Lydia, feeling lonely and misunderstood by her family, thinks about crossing over to join the Maitlands in the afterlife. Beetlejuice tricks her into summoning him by promising her to help her in exchange for her hand in marriage. He then forces Lydia into a wedding ceremony, which the Maitlands desperately try to stop. They manage to summon a sandworm that devours Beetlejuice, saving Lydia from the marriage. In the aftermath, the Maitlands and Lydia form a friendship, and the Dietzes come to accept the presence of the ghosts in their home. The film ends with Beetlejuice in the waiting room while Lydia levitates and dances to upbeat music.